How do Hague Regulations define ruses of or versus perfidy? Imagine you're in the middle of a conflict, trying to outsmart your opponent without crossing the line. How do you know what tricks are okay and which are forbidden? That's where the Hague Regulations come into play. They help us understand the difference between clever deception and outright betrayal during war. Ruses of or are tricks used to mislead the enemy without breaking any laws. Think about camouflage, decoys, or pretending to attack from one side while striking from another. These tactics are accepted because they don't betray trust or protections under international law. They're like playing a game of hide and seek, but within rules. For example, using fake tanks or false radio signals to confuse the enemy is considered a lawful stratagem. The key is that these acts don't involve pretending to surrender or using protected symbols to deceive. They are simply clever tricks that don't harm the enemy's legal protections. Perfidy, on the other hand, is a different story. It involves betraying the enemy's trust by pretending to be protected under the law, only to attack or harm them. For example, pretending to surrender to lure the enemy into a trap or using a flag of truce to launch an attack is perfidy. These acts are forbidden because they break the trust that international law tries to uphold. When a soldier or group pretends to be hors de combat or uses a protected symbol like a red cross or a flag of truce to deceive, it's considered treacherous. This kind of deception is seen as a betrayal of good faith and can lead to severe consequences under international humanitarian law. The Hague Regulations clearly state that ruses of or are lawful, as long as they don't involve treachery. They recognize that deception is part of warfare but emphasize that it must not involve betrayal of protected persons or symbols. Perfidy, however, is explicitly banned because it undermines the protections meant to keep civilians and soldiers safe during conflicts. This distinction helps ensure that deception remains within fair bounds and that trust in legal protections is respected. So, in simple terms, the Hague Regulations allow clever tricks that don't betray trust, but they prohibit acts that pretend to be protected to cause harm. This keeps warfare honest and helps protect those who relying on legal protections during times of conflict.